have to remember that Donald Trump is a reality TV star. And his show, The Apprentice, the American version of The Apprentice, which came before our version, I mean, he did that for 10 years, and it was a huge rating success, sometimes the top-rated show in America. And reality TV is ingrained into him. He absolutely understands it. And what he's done with the Oval Office is he's turned it into a reality TV studio. And every day there is a show for his base, for his supporters. And sometimes it is the British Prime Minister comes in and hands over an envelope, and ooh, surprise, surprise, it's an invitation for a state visit. Isn't that nice? Apparently the story on that was the Prime Minister tried to hand it over in their private meeting beforehand, and Trump said, no, 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 give it to me on TV. So this is the way he thinks. But on social media, look, this guy is a genius on social media. And I remember in the first term, because I was there from beginning of 2016, when the campaign was running, and he basically was at war with the mainstream media every day of that campaign. And they were disdainful of him. They thought he wasn't fit to be president. They pursued him. They tried to uncover stories about his own finances or about why is he so admiring of Putin, all this sort of stuff. And he went over their heads in those days using, remember Twitter? Remember tweets, He did that brilliantly. And he communicated with his base direct like that in the mainstream media to a man and woman who were against him, except maybe the Wall Street Journal, and he won. So he's carried on with that. There is representing, there is reporting, and then there is influencing. And you would be either in the White House, which I would be in every week, not necessarily seeing the president, but you go into the White House every week to see the staff there, or in the State Department, or sometimes in the Pentagon, or sometimes in the Finance Department, or sometimes in Congress. I would go to Congress every week. And you're there to try and project British interests, to make the case for things happening in the way that we want them to happen, for reaching certain objectives that suit us. And that's how it works. I think George Orwell would be both horrified and fascinated by what's going on in the world at the moment. And I don't think he'd be gratified is the wrong word, but he would notice how some of the things that are happening at the moment were kind of previewed or predicted in some of his great works. Don't rule out the Democrats, because the story of American politics for the last few decades has been the voters vote in one party or the other, they get buyer's remorse very quickly, and then they vote in the other party. So it has swung between Democrat and Republican a lot in recent years. And the Democrats will have, I think they will have a good candidate. It won't be the old generation. It won't be crazy Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren or those people. There's a younger generation coming through. And given that it'll be a new figure on the Republican side as well, I think it'll be quite an open contest. I just don't think we're strong enough economically to be able to say we don't care about the Chinese market. If you think that's a problem for us, it's much, much bigger for some European countries. Germany, which is not a five times bigger economy than us, does 5 times as much trade with China as we do. So all the Europeans will be in this place. And the Americans come to us in future and say, can you impose trade sanctions on China or some other measure because of the way the Chinese are behaving on some issue or other, you'll find the Europeans will be very reluctant. It's just reality. I did 40 odd years in the Foreign Service, and I traveled really quite a lot there. And I just worry about the way that the BBC is assaulted in the way it is in this country. It makes mistakes. Maybe it's a bit too big and a bit too bloated, and it's not got the structures right to avoid these mistakes. But I can tell you it's the most respected news organization on the planet. And if you watch American TV, there is nothing on it like the BBC in terms of the authority and accuracy and dedication with which it covers current affairs. It's a huge part of our soft power as a country. And in no way, if the French had the BBC, they would be pouring money into it, and there'd be none of this criticism of it. Of course it should be criticised if it gets things wrong. Of course it should improve its process and all the rest of it. But it's a huge national asset, and I just worry that sometimes you get a sense that it's going to be diminished somehow.